It's Gospel 1680 WOKB, Orlando's Gospel Music Channel. Let's go in.
Hello. Welcome to Real Family Talk, man. This is your host, Jay Real. Hope everybody's having a great Wednesday evening. It's already getting heated in here. Can somebody call me and tell me where the slave ship artifact
Please tell me. Please let me know.
407-894-1680.
They're at the bottom of the Atlantic. No. Why we can find the slave ships. I'm sorry. Why we can't find the slave ships, but we know where all of the Jewish Holocaust concentration camps are.
We're not going there tonight.
Oh, okay. Jimmy, shine where you at when I need you.
But, yeah, man, it's already live in the studio tonight. And we're just starting the show. We just turned the show on, man. Welcome to the show. Let me go ahead and welcome all the guests that we have with us tonight. Jeremy's in the building, a.k.a. Younger Brother. How you doing, man?
I'm back. That's what I'm doing. I'm back. I was out last week. You know, I was not feeling well. But y'all held it down. Didn't listen to the whole show. Caught bits and pieces of it. So it's all good. I know y'all held it down for me. I don't gotta listen. I don't gotta check up on y'all. Come on.
Brother's only getting half a check.
I getting an A check. Oh. But I'm doing good. Thank everybody for thank you for listening, and I appreciate y'all holding it down for me. You know, I'm back.
Mr. King is obviously in the building. Who else would ask?
My brother.
How you doing, Mr. King?
My brother. That's my new intro.
That's your new intro?
Yeah, that's my brother.
All right. Jama's in the building with me tonight. How you doing, Jama?
I'm well. How about yourself?
Doing well. And Miss Burney is back in the building. How you doing, Jasmine?
I'm well. How's everyone doing this evening?
Oh, we're doing great.
Good.
Everybody's doing great, right? Before we get started, man, shout out. I don't know if she's listening, but she's back in the city, and that's all that really matters. But Better is back in the city. She's out of the hospital and back at home, chilling at the crib, continuing her recovery. So that's awesome. She's away from the hospital and back at home, resting in her own bed. So that's how well she's doing. So that's awesome, man. So shout out to Better, Miss McCrae. We still think about you, man. So let's jump right in here. I got to shout out the Steelers. Did you see, Mr. King? The Steelers won last week. We're 2-1 now.
Oh. You know, I just learned that there is a such thing called a Rothless burger. And I was very interested in tasting this Rothless burger that's actually only sold in Pittsburgh. But, you know, when I found out that it was actually a burger named after the quarterback for the Steelers, I was interested in trying that. So, you know, shout out to the Rothless burger and I guess the Steelers and Harrison for signing with the Steelers.
Yeah. Mike Tomlin called him Debo. He said Debo's back in the building. So we'll see what's up. They got a lot of injuries on the defense last week.
Well, as long as he
so
keep on.
We need Debo back. Hopefully he comes back and comes back strong as well. So we'll see.
Shout out to
see
him.
How it goes.
The only coach that kisses his players.
Hey, man.
Hey, nah, bro. Only Lil Wayne and Baby. I don't understand why you kissing your players on the head, brother. But, hey, that's what you do.
That's what he does,
That's
man.
what you do. My brother, my brother.
Love for your players, man. Sometimes you do that, apparently.
Thuggy love. Thuggy love.
That's all right. They won, brother. That's all that matters. And we got Tampa Bay this week, too. So
well, you know they're going to
I'm chalking that up to another win. I'm sorry. I'm chalking that up to another win.
I don't know.
We'll see. It should be interesting. But we jump right in here, talking about stories. That's what we're going to do today, talking about some different stories happening in the country. One story, last week we were talking about police violence and police violence against young black men. And so today there was a ruling about a case that happened in Ohio. To remind you what happened, there was a young black male in Ohio. He went into Walmart, and when he got there, there was a BB gun that he picked up in the store. It was out in the open, and I don't know what his intents were exactly, but he, went down that particular aisle where the BB guns are sold, saw this BB gun that was sitting open for anybody to grab. He grabbed it, and then as he was, I guess, shopping or whatever he was doing, walking around the store, essentially, he was holding a BB gun in his hand. As far as there's a video for it. So as far as what you saw in the video, he was holding it down to just kind of holding it down to his side, if you will. Ultimately, somebody called the cops, reported there was a man walking around Walmart with a gun in his hand. The report said that he was, or the caller who reported it was saying that the man was pointing it at people. There was even an accusation that he had pointed it at some children that were in the store. And then from there, obviously the cops came. And then when the cops arrived in the scene, at that particular time, the young man was sitting, he was in an aisle by himself, and he was holding the gun and kind of like pointing it at, really like in the video, you can see him pointing it at the shelf, whatever, I can't think of what aisle he was on, but he was in the aisle, he was by himself on the aisle, and he was literally like pointing the gun at whatever, I don't know, whatever is on the aisle. Whatever, what do you call the merchandise? There you go. Whatever merchandise is on the aisle. So that's when the police saw him after this call, and immediately, there's no audio, but you see the police come into Walmart about what seems to be 1 or 2 minutes later. They are in the aisle that this young man was in. You see the young man go to the ground, and obviously they check him a few minutes later, and he's dead. So today they determined that these officers are not going to be charged with any kind of crime, and it was a valid shooting, they say. Valid shooting.
So, I know I've been in Walmart or in various stores and have seen that this section where they sell guns locked off, caged off. There are special alarms that are on the barricades that hold these guns, and if you want one, they generally take it to the register for you, and then you purchase it when you come up there with the rest of your items. They don't just allow you to walk around the store with the gun. But if that is policy, and it has changed because I haven't been to Walmart in so long, that policy has changed, and then why wouldn't someone try to fix the situation prior to the police arriving, or someone explain that is our gun just by shooting this man and killing him? If the Walmart security didn't say anything, and they're clearly keeping an eye on all of their customers, I don't understand why they had to walk in and shoot and kill this man.
Well, like I said, according to the reports, someone called, and those were the things that they said in the report. The young man, there's a man carrying a gun. He's pointing it at people. He's pointing it at children. Obviously, whoever called, I don't see why they would have known one way or another whether or not it was a BB gun, which is what it was, or if it was a regular gun. But when the police came, that was the decision that they made, and today it was determined that there will be no charges filed. The young man's name is John Crawford, if you want to look up the story. John Crawford III, actually.
Was it a BB gun? Or
it was definitely a BB
gun.
Because he didn't walk in the store with the gun.
Say.
No, it was a BB gun. He didn't walk in the store with a gun. He went to the gun aisle in Walmart. This BB gun was apparently sitting out on the shelf. He picked it up for whatever reason, and then just started randomly walking around the store with this BB gun.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, a couple of years ago, I believe they changed where all guns that were not real had to have like orange tips on them or something indicating that, so when police saw it, they would know that it was not a real gun, because a couple of kids, remember, they've been killed from pointing toy guns at cops because they didn't realize it was a real gun, if it was real or not, I should say. That's why I'm asking, because I know some toy guns, they had them big orange tips on the end of them, so you can clearly see it's not a real gun. But, my question is, not even for the police, first off, for the person who called the police. Don't get me wrong, I know there's a lot of, mentally dysfunctional people out there. But who's just walking around shopping in Walmart with a pistol? Hanging out and just gingerly just walking around shopping. Nobody's running around screaming, but he's just walking around the whole store. Between the time they called and the police got there, it had to be some minutes. So he had to pass more than one person, and
right.
One person called.
Maybe more than one person called, but in the article I read, they only reference one caller.
But I would imagine, just like anything you hear with some shooting in the store, if they have multiple 911 calls, they'll say they have multiple 911 calls,
right.
Unless I'm mistaken. I've always heard they'll say, yeah, multiple 911 calls to this area. This person had a gun. So, that's the thing that just doesn't make sense about the story to me.
And, that's why I feel the way that society is portraying African American
right, that's where I was going with.
is actually terrifying, people who are not African American. So now that, that's what we see on TV, that's what we've been hearing in the news, and that's what we're seeing on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and all this other social media networks. So now, no matter what, I'm scared. I'm terrified. I don't know. So I just called the police because, that's what they're there to do. They're there to protect and serve me.
Hey, I'm gonna just to argue something slightly different. Last week we had Brother E here to talk with us, and Brother E is a police officer. And so, the question I have for, the thing that at least makes me a little weary to just jump to defense here is, why did this young man think it was a great idea to pick up a gun and then begin to, even if it was a BB gun, why did he think it was a great idea to pick up a BB gun and then just randomly start walking around the store?
How old was he?
22.
He was obviously looking for attention.
Basically.
I would say.
Either that or let's be honest, all 22-year-olds,
I'd have to disagree.
No, I'm not saying all.
No, not with your statement. With him walking around the store gingerly with a gun. If it's on the shelf and it is accessible for you to pick up and walk around the store and it's not caged, because we don't know all the details. But
no, in the video it shows. If you look at the video shows how they, obviously there's cameras all over Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
So there's video that shows him just leisurely walking over to that aisle, and you can see him picking up the gun, which wasn't caged or anything. It was just sitting out.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that, he made a decision to leisurely walk over there and pick it up. And then obviously there's, thousands of cameras in Walmart. So there's the different shots that they show you as he's just randomly walking around the store. Now, the interesting thing in all of the camera shots that they have, there's no camera shot of him ever pointing that gun at anybody. Mm-hmm. So the caller, okay. There's no camera shots of him ever doing that, and the only camera shot they have of him with the gun in some other position besides being held to his side is that the last shot where, like I said, you could see in the video that he was holding the gun in the air and pointing it at merchandise. But there was no other individual around him whatsoever. It was him on one of those aisles where people don't like to shop, I guess, and he was holding it at the merchandise. The only shot of him that you can find in the video that they released anyway, of him pointing it at anything other than holding it by his side towards the ground. So, but again, I as a black man,
better.
Even if I saw that BB gun wasn't locked up, and typically they are locked up, there's something in me that would never let me just pick it up and then begin to walk around the store with it. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. What's up, Chris Shaw? What you got to talk to us about, man?
Now, you realize what you just said. There's something about you that would not pick up a gun and just walk around the store with. One, you got to realize Walmart is a family business cooperation. So they're looking at it from a family point of view, not realizing that it could be a toy gun, not realizing that it could be a real gun. It's just a mere fact that this young man picked up a gun in the store, whether it's toy or real or not, and he's pointing it in the direction of objects or whatever the case may be. Now everybody, as an employee of Walmart, okay, the safety of my life and every customer in the building is at threat because I don't know if it's a real gun or not.
Right. Which is why I say, when the police came, it's not even surprising that they shot him under the circumstances, because as Brother E said, when you're in those situations, you're not sitting there, you're not going to question whether or not it was real. You're just you're gonna act before, the worst case scenario, which is the cop getting shot, if you will, at least in his mind, right. Before that happens. So he's going to act before that particular act happens.
Yes, but that's why I don't really blame the police.
I get that, but, which is why I say, I question why he thought it was a good idea to just randomly walk around Walmart with a gun. Even if it was a BB gun, as a black man, if I was going to buy a gun at Walmart as a black man, I'm going to do two things. One, I'm going to have a basket and push that basket around so that you can clearly see that I'm shopping. And then two, I'm going to find the gun that's still in a box. You see what I'm saying? And then I'm gonna walk around with my basket, with the gun in the box in the basket, so that there's no way in the world you're gonna get confused as to what the situation is.
Now let me ask you this question here: how old are you doing all of this?
At 20 though, that's even at 20, I wouldn't have walked around the store with no open gun. I mean, come on now.
At the age of 20, as men, as boys, we haven't really matured yet, so we still wilding out. I'm in the store with all my guys. Hey, girl, look at this, bro. Hey, bro, look at this.
Right.
I'm wilding out, and that's what he's probably doing.
Yeah, but that's true, man. I mean, just have to be honest. Every 20-year-old, 22-year-old is not consciously thinking like that. He's thinking, I'm walking around with a gun. I'm just playing. I got this BB gun. I'm playing. I'm walking around. I'm playing. He's not consciously thinking, if these people in here might be scared of me because I'm a young black man with a gun. The police come, they go shoot me. He's not thinking that. I mean, you can see by the way he's walking around. He's like, I'm just chilling. I'm not bothering nobody. Why y'all, why would anybody bother me?
At me? Why you bothering me?
That's the way he's thinking. He's not even thinking like that. Now, don't get me wrong, J. Real. I hear you because I wouldn't do it either. But, but I can't necessarily project my thinking on everybody else.
Well, let me ask you this, Chris Shaw. After you have done all the idiotic moves that the young man made, and you have now come encountered with the police, do you put the gun down? Or what happened to that part of the video is what I want to know.
And that's what I want to know, because I have yet to hear about that. I have yet to see that. Because as a police officer, they come in and drop the weapon. That's the first thing they say. Drop the weapon, put it down. Well, get on the floor, hands behind your head. They're going to go through all that.
Unfortunately, it's a Walmart video which has no audio. So as far as what you see in the video, you see them come down towards the aisle that he was in, and then the next shot sort of has him moving to a portion where he's kind of hidden from the camera, but it also seems like at that point he was also shot. So
they edited out that part.
So all you know from what the officers say is, of course, they say, oh, we told him to put it down, he didn't put it down, and so we acted, is essentially their story. That they asked him to put it down, he didn't, and so they acted on what they thought was the next best move. But again, I don't really fault the police and their actions in this case, because I think this is one of those situations where it really could have been prevented by a smarter move on the young man's part. One, he again, go look at the gun, pick it up. If you want to buy it, go buy it, because he walked by the cash register, and the gentleman was sitting at the cash register. So if he was going to buy that gun, he certainly could have easily done that right there and then on the spot. Because clearly he didn't have any other merchandise from Walmart in his hands. He just had this gun. So I can only assume that maybe he wanted it, he was going to purchase it, but
that doesn't give the police the right to shoot. My thing is this. Exactly, to take a life.
Decision, bro.
I have to see the video. What happened when the police approached him? Did he put the gun down? Did he hold the gun up and say, no, I'm not going to put it down? That's what I would have to see. But again, where is the video? Same thing with the Ray Rice video. It can be edited.
Honestly,
but then too, a lot of police officers do carry a taser, right?
Correct. And the tasers shoot out.
Right? So why not use that sometime? Because my thing is, you are in a family business-oriented store.
Now you done killed somebody in that store.
Yeah, they're not going to try to tase somebody who's standing in front of them with a gun, though. No, that's the wrong time for them to pull out the taser. But honestly, there isn't too much about this story that surprises me, only because I feel everybody acted exactly how I expected everyone to act. You have this 24-year-old white male who calls the police because he is afraid, obviously, because there's an African-American man with a gun in his hand. Then you have the police who don't ask questions because there's an African-American male with a gun in his hand. And I don't know if everyone's been watching this, but I've been obsessed with Blacklist lately, so I've been watching a lot of police shows. And there's different ways. They could have shot his hand to get the gun out of it. They could have shot him in his leg so he can get down. There's a lot of different ways instead of shooting him to cause murder and, kill him in the end. But for him to be 22 years old, I think any African-American male over the driving age of being, 16, 17, should know better. Know how to act in America. When the cops pull you over, don't be fumbling at your legs. It doesn't matter because you're African-American and you're a male. They don't care what you're doing. They don't care if you're grabbing your wallet unless you know how to act accordingly. You are a male.
But see, that's the problem. We don't know how because we're never being taught. We're not being.
Yeah.
If you grew up in your environment and all your environment was just good, we can't stand the cops. Okay, when the cops come at you, I don't know you. I'm not trusting you. I'm gonna disrespect you because one, you 5-0.
But my thing is this though. All that being said is true. He was wrong. He should have went to jail or whatever. But where is the part where he didn't put down the gun? He aimed the gun at the police officers. Something about that. Now it was stupid. Yeah, A, B, and C. But when it come down to D, where the police have you surrounded, now you didn't put down the gun, then some kind of action should have been taken. But every black man, white man, Asian man knows when the police come, hey man, it's a wrap. That's what it is. So where is the part of the video that shows he did not put down the gun and resisted or did something to that nature? That's the part that's missing.
I'd have to go back to my original statement that this young man did nothing wrong by picking up a piece of merchandise that Walmart sells on its store shelves and allowing him to walk around with it in the store. That is a responsible or irresponsible part on Walmart for allowing that to even be an option for someone to do in a store. Because if I was in there walking around and saw someone carrying a gun, I cannot deny that I wouldn't react the same way. Because I don't know that this is a product that they're allowing people to walk around the store with. But if they allow you to do it, don't assume that he's doing something wrong. And Walmart should release a statement saying that this is a part of our policy. We allow people to do this. And they should have released that statement during the trial. But that hasn't even come up. That hasn't even been a factor.
It never even went to trial.
Now,
This is the grand jury.
Or during their assessment.
This is the grand jury. It never even went to trial.
But okay, let me ask you this then. I guess it's okay if you pick up a bag of grapes and walk around the store and eat a bag of grapes. That's not considered stealing.
Oh, absolutely, it's considered stealing, but no one's getting shot over it.
No, it ain't. It ain't stealing, is it?
Yes, it is. You haven't paid for it.
That is stealing. So just in case you didn't know.
I didn't know that. Because I sure be in the candy aisle, like, let me taste that the cherry candy. But my thing is this, from the picture that I'm seeing, the gun is on the ground when the police officer is walking down the aisle.
But we'll see, man. Like I said, I just thought the story was interesting. It kind of, like I said, it just piggybacks on what we were discussing last week, especially talking about the frustration that a lot of blacks feel when it comes to situations like this Walmart situation with John Crawford, like we were talking about Ferguson last week, we were talking about what happened in New York. This is where that frustration comes from, because when these incidents happen, does he have a right to walk around Walmart and with a gun that he may be wanting to purchase? Of course he does. But, we live in America, and I'm sorry, as black men in America, there's something that you need to recognize and realize that is the situation, and you need to carry yourself accordingly. And, it may be unfair, and that may not be right, but it's the truth, and we need to learn that, and somebody needs to teach us that stuff so that we don't make these kinds of mistakes that potentially lead to horrific situations like happened in this Walmart situations, man. But Chris Shaw, man, we thank you, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate you guys. Keep up the good job.
Thanks, man. Thanks. 407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894-1680 is the number. Now, Jasmine came up here. She brought a topic with her. She's going to talk to us about medical marijuana. Everybody knows that's on the ballot in November. So talk to me, Jasmine. What you got to say?
So I'm sure you all have seen the very interesting viral video that has gone around probably everywhere on every single social network you can possibly think of a journalist who abruptly quits her job in the middle of her journalistic duties. There's a journalist by the name of Charlo Greene who was in the middle of live television on Sunday evening doing a newscast and abruptly decides to quit her job. I'm putting it very nicely, but she states a small piece after her news piece was aired, and just simply states, and for this job, and I'm quoting, and for this job, well, I don't have a choice, pretty much, but expletive, I quit. And that went viral. It went everywhere. She has decided to take on the full-fledged, full-time role of managing her cannabis club business in Alaska. And her Alaska Cannabis Club is not a club that provides medicinal marijuana to individuals. It, however, is a connection sort of organization where people who are looking for medicinal marijuana in the Alaska area can contact her, and she can connect them with individuals who can supply them with their order of cannabis for medicinal and or recreational purposes. I think that the piece that is most shocking about this is the way that she quit her job, yes. And then what she chose to stand up for in the midst of quitting that position. I have a question that I pose to everyone, and the question is not, would you do something like this? But if you had the opportunity to quit the jobs that you all currently love and enjoy right now, what would you do? And what would you stand up for if this was something that you were faced with? Choosing between making sure that people have the right to medicinal marijuana in Alaska, or keeping your news reporter position, because it sounds like she was ousted or told that she has pretty much no choice to stay in her current position because the people of Alaska really need her. They really need her to make this a legal situation. Is there an issue that you all would feel so strongly about that you'd quit your job abruptly and just take on?
I don't know that I have. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Well, before we even get to the issue, the fact that she owns it, to me, puts another notch on it. 'Cause it's one thing to say, okay, right, I'm going to quit and I'm going to help a movement. Mm-hmm. But if you actually own the business, that's already one reason to have my foot out the door anyway. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is. Can I say just one thing? That was hilarious.
It was hilarious.
Well,
it just is just classic.
The
I'm
people
sorry.
that tried to speak after her made it hilarious.
Yeah.
They were like just speechless.
We'll be back. Oh, no, we're actually still on.
See, to me, this is like up there with like Chappelle's show. Like, this is supposed to be in that notch right there. Yeah. Like, this is supposed to be there with that. This is classic. She'll be infamous, I should say. I guess you can't say she'll be famous forever. She'll be infamous. Because, let's be honest, we all wanted to do that. But to do it on live TV. And don't get me wrong, it was a little ignorant, to be honest. But come on.
I don't think so.
But it was funny.
It was ignorant about it.
No,
it was a little ignorant, but it was funny.
Here's some more follow-up. I was listening to, and to answer your question, I'll do that first. Okay. I don't really have, I don't know of a topic, or I should say an issue, that I quit my job over. So I don't think I have an issue that I would do that for, personally. But to give some more background on her, I was listening to her on a radio program this morning. They were doing an interview with her, and from what she says, anyway, in hindsight, I mean, who knows what it is, but it's all hindsight at this point, of course. And she said all of this was essentially calculated on her part.
Oh yeah.
She says that she's obviously the owner of the sponsor owner, whatever you call it, of the Alaska Cannabis Club. And so what she said is she made a calculated move to send a press release on behalf of her company, not attaching her name to it, to that particular station, hoping that based on that press release they would bite and then want to do the story. So obviously they bit and wanted to do the story. So that was a win for her, as she saw it. She's like, yes, I got him. So then from there, it was, then she got to do a story. She did a great job on her story, whatever. Then from there, it was, she had already made the decision that she wanted to pursue this further because she worked she was a reporter. She puts in, she says 60, 70, 80 hours a week sometimes. I'm sure she's not getting paid what she thinks she should be paid. And so she was overworked, underpaid. A lot of people know that story. Mm-hmm. So she came up with this plot to get them to do a story on her company. And then once she did that story, yes, it was sensationalism that brought her to do what she did, because she figured if I do that or if I do this, obviously she's going to get and drum up support for medical marijuana, which is what her initiative is. She talked about how in Alaska, apparently, they did pass a law for medical marijuana in the 90s, but that law hasn't really been supported by the state. No particular process has been really set up to facilitate it. And so her organization is helping to take that initiative and then move it forward, get that process of organizing it so that people can get it. She even talked about the members of her club on the show and said most of them are actually 60-year-olds are the members of her club. So she's not necessarily trying to help out 30-year-olds or 18-year-olds or 19-year-olds per se. She's trying to help these 60-year-old people who want to use medical marijuana but have no venue because the state hasn't set one up. Unlike, other states, Oregon and Colorado, California, they don't have any kind of system in place to really get that medical marijuana to the people. So that's her initiative. And she talked about how, because she even talked on it was the Florida show, obviously. And so they even talked to her about, would she be interested in kind of being the spokesperson for medical marijuana now. And so she said, yeah, of course, yeah, take me out. Even her organization, they were doing a crowdfunding campaign, her organization, and surprise, surprise, they met their goal in less than 24 hours. Right. So, it really comes across, at least from her point of view, in hindsight, it comes across as an awesome business move.
Genius.
And so she's set up her platform, and that's kind of at least what she's selling. That was her whole point in the first place, is to really set up her platform.
And she made it very clear. She said, I did it at a time on a night where I knew that a lot of my producers wouldn't be in the studio, so they wouldn't cut it as soon as I said it, right. That no one would immediately panic, and that we saw that there was immediate panic from the other reporter who had to then make up for the rest of the scene. But she made it very clear that you're correct. It was completely calculated. She knew exactly what she was doing. And I have to applaud her, because this is the most superb level of organizing I've ever seen with an issue-based campaign. And she was very successful at it.
Yeah.
She raised money to fund her issue. She now can work on that issue full time. And she can now do this statewide. She can also provide a face and a voice to an issue that a lot of people can't identify with, but they will, because it's a black woman standing up there doing it.
And if you listen to her talk, she's intelligent. She comes across like listening to John Morgan, if you will.
She's on the news, so she
she comes across listening to John Morgan, in that she isn't
intelligent.
No. What I mean by that is more often than not, when you attach a face to marijuana issues, that face typically doesn't strike you as coming across as intelligent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but she
it's just like John Morgan is not the typical face of medical marijuana advocate. So that's what I mean by her. She's just not your typical face of medical marijuana advocates. From that perspective,
she's still a little ignorant.
So from that perspective, that's what I'm saying. She comes across and comes across as a great advocate for the movement. The way that she is able to articulate what her position is and why she does the things that she does.
And she said that she's built an entire career working on being a journalist. She knew exactly what she needed to do to get this story in front of her news station. She knew exactly how she needed to angle the story. And, she has a degree. She's an educated woman. So anyone with a plan, that is the key here. She had a plan. She did not just go out and completely do something on a whim. She had a plan, and it was strategic. You can be successful.
Now, let me ask you something, because this is your field. This is what you do, right?
I don't know.
This is what I mean by that. Obviously, you're not a medical marijuana advocate,
no.
Are you? But
no.
But obviously what you do is help promote different campaigns, whether that be political or organizational and whatnot. So if you were on her team, if you will, what do you think about the strategy in and of itself? I mean, obviously I doubt it would have been like, yeah, this is how you should do it. But what do you think in hindsight, looking at her strategy? What do you think about it as that political consultant perspective?
Well, I would have to say that the initial thing I would have to say is you need to be comfortable and okay with knowing that you'll never be able to go back into this job, this particular building ever again. So before you make this decision, make sure that this is one that you can live with for the rest of your life, because you will always be identified as a person who quit their job, and this is the way you quit it. I see absolutely nothing wrong with the way that if she were to come to me and present that plan, I would see nothing wrong with it whatsoever, because she set up the necessary processes. She said, I have these particular goals or these particular objectives, and then this is what I plan to do once we meet those objectives. If plan A doesn't work, and that is getting this press release to this news station and then getting coverage for it, I've got to go back to the drawing board and figure out what it is I need to do. The wheels started turning. The plan worked. So now I have the opportunity to raise funds from this. Already have that set up and in place. Now let's go ahead and start strategically building out a plan all the way up until the date that it's time for voters to vote on this amendment, because it's tied to a local amendment that's there. So she already knows what her finite deadline is, and that is the amendment date. So what does that plan look like over the next few months from now until Election Day?
Got it.
As long as you're okay with, never being able to go to that job again, let's go with it. Let's roll.
What I disagree with was the way that she did it. I know that's the way everything was able to start moving, and the wheels and the plan. But it was just so unprofessional, and to look at it from the aspect and the standpoint of this is a black African-American woman who had the opportunity to be a journalist, to be on TV, and to have an opportunity for her voice to be heard no matter what she's talking about. And she decided to walk out that way. She wasn't alone just burning the bridges to that particular building that you referenced. She just burned the bridges, period. I would never hire her because I will always look at her like, I don't know what you're going to do on TV. I don't know what minute you're going to just kind of, you have something else that you want to get attention on or whatever, and I don't know what way and what form you're going to take that and how serious that is to you that you'll jeopardize my company, my vision, my whatever that you agree to because you want to get this across. I wish he would have chose a different way or found a different plan or whatever the case may be, but to curse and to walk out like that, I think was completely unprofessional.
Now, that was my thing. It was the cussing part of it, because it's like you just threw everything out. Now, it'll be 2050 if we see another black woman on Alaska
it's
TV.
It's already hard for us to get
we
on
don't
there.
need to. We don't need to spread that stereotype or that's plant that seed into anyone's head. Because if you work hard and you do what's necessary, I don't think that is a seed we need to help grow.
No,
we don't need to. We don't need that to fester.
The thing about it is
we don't have to help grow it. She's doing it
with HDTV and with the way that African Americans look and the way our skin works. They were actually looking for more African Americans to be on TV because they don't have to have as much makeup. They don't look as bad on TV. Well, in Atlanta. I know that's how it was in Atlanta. I don't know about Alaska or Florida.
Come on.
But in Atlanta,
I'm
just trying to say that one lady will not hinder any other African American women to be on TV.
Not in Atlanta, right.
Maybe in Alaska, I guess, right?
Maybe not in D.C.
All 12
Maybe not in
them.
Chicago.
None of y'all 12 can get on TV now.
It's more than 12. But they won't be on TV.
They'll be working for her.
I would have to disagree. I think a lot of people are constantly waiting for, just to talk about African American women, to do something. So if we're talking about something and I get passionate about it to the fact where my head just happens to turn with it, now all of a sudden I was waiting for that. I knew it. All black women, all you guys do is get upset and you pop your head and you get that finger pointing, which is not true. But what I'm saying is,
it's not.
That's what I'm saying. If I get passionate about something and I happen to do that, does not mean all black women do it. But I'm saying that people are constantly waiting for us to fit into those stereotypes that they already have for us. Mm-hmm. So we curse, we walk out. We don't care about our job security. We don't care about anything like that because what we care about is obviously weed in this case. But I'm just saying the way I
heard her interview.
Well,
let's think about it though.
All I'm gonna say
is,
Ms. Burney,
she's definitely
the next time I leave a place of employment, I'm gonna have a plan. I'm knocking all the merchandise off the
my gosh,
off the counter. I'm talking about everything. We gonna get on the news now. Trust me. I'm gonna get a BB gun.
Do what you gotta do.
But once they had the cops in the building, the BB gun on the floor. I'm gonna say that first.
Hands up.
So if y'all listen to me out there, if y'all come in there, Jeremy's in there, the gun's on the floor.
The gun was on the floor in that case also.
So, but, we're going to cause a scene. And but we're going to put this plan in place. But come on, y'all. Y'all got to admit, that's an ignorant, man.
No, I can't admit it.
Cussing on TV, man, come on.
I can't.
White people do it all the time.
I didn't say they did. But we keep saying that we have standards and we don't want to measure ourselves to them. I was always told I have to be better.
And you do.
So exactly. So in that same stance, I can't say, well, they do it. No.
Well, share with me.
I'm not saying she's not intelligent. I'm not saying she didn't have a plan. I'm not saying the plan didn't work. I'm not saying she's not smart. I'm saying she ignorant is what I'm saying.
I
She say what she want to say. You ignorant.
You're right.
You cussing on live TV. You ignorant.
It was. I would agree. You know what I mean? Certainly there was something ignorant about the idea that you cursed on TV.
That's what I'm saying.
But.
And then you're not helping.
How is
different
on TV absolutely horrible and just disrespectful?
I'm not saying all that. I'm not saying
hip-hop music.
Okay, so now we gonna compare. So we gonna measure the.
Oh yeah. Let's talk about it.
Reality TV.
Let's compare her to
Come on
Imus.
now.
Imus said these nappy-headed HOEs, and he back on his TV show.
Well, I'm not talking about Imus. Who holds Imus in some state of morality?
Who holds a lady who live in Alaska?
A lady who live in Alaska?
The entire nation is now.
No, this is what I'm trying to say.
Exactly.
It's bad enough. You quit your job because of weed. You can rap the medicinal part of one if you want to. That's fine. And you know you got an issue. That's cool. But come on, you cuss on live TV and you walk out by weed.
She quit her job to be a boss. She is her own boss.
I have no job.
She writes her own
You know,
checks.
I'm not even mad that she walked out. But I'm not even mad that she walked out and said I quit. But the fact that she said, F it, I quit. You know, she could have just said, you know what, such and such, I quit, and just left. She didn't have to say F it.
She could have.
She didn't have to say F it.
But it wouldn't have popped like it did if she didn't. And that's what's the whole thing. You got to make it pop.
Look, she could have went topless and said, I quit.
Oh, so you prefer her be nude with no clothes on, but you wouldn't want her to.
I didn't say nude. I didn't say nude.
Because she's attractive.
Topless.
Oh, so you'd like her to reveal skin because that's what will get you attention.
I said it would have been better.
I'm with you now.
I'm sorry.
You know what? Now that I think about it, younger brother, you're right. You're right, younger brother.
Thank you, brother.
I agree with you now.
Thank you.
Now that you said topless,
It wouldn't have been better.
because she's attractive.
I'm not saying it would have been better, but I'm just saying.
Let me ask
She
you
would have
this.
offended less people. Let's say that.
So,
less people.
So,
Yes,
so
she
move
would
it, just
have.
to move it forward a little bit.
Got a little more support.
Just half of them she would have offended instead of offending everybody.
Whatever.
Or 80%.
She would have got a lot more supporters.
Don't we always go statistics on this show?
And this conversation would have gone totally different because then she would have been demeaning an entire race of women by feeling like the only way she can get attention on her issue is by showing her body off.
Oh, by
she used the word that everybody else is using.
I don't use that word.
You use that word
anymore?
Excuse me. The whole world is probably using the F word somewhere.
The whole world not using that word.
You probably can't recall a moment where you've used it, but it's okay.
I never said I couldn't recall it. I just said I don't do it anymore.
Uses that word.
Okay. And they shouldn't because it's not a good word.
It is not.
That's why she's ignorant for saying it. That's my point. See, y'all making my point for me.
Hold on.
You're making my point for me.
Hold on, younger brother. So obviously, medical marijuana, it is coming up in November. What's been interesting, as you saw the polls seem to be sliding according at least to what they're selling to us. And the support that was there a few months ago seems to be slightly dipping in certain areas. What do you guys think about that? Do you think ultimately, if we're still going to pass, you think the young people are going to be inspired enough to get medical marijuana in the state to actually come out and vote?
I mean, y'all, they won't come out to vote for jobs.
I don't think it's just the young people that's needed
right.
to get
It's
that
not.
passed.
It's not just the young people, but
no.
you expect older people to come out and vote because that's what they do.
They're going to vote,
but to move the issue forward,
that issue itself,
you're going to need a
more.
combination.
And I think that people are depending on that particular electorate to help bump up voter participation by having this. They are looking at younger voters to see how they're going to react to this issue.
You expect 50-year-olds to come out and vote.
Correct. They are going to be targeted. They are going to be looked at. They are going to be groups of people that expect this particular age range to come out and vote and support this issue. Honestly, younger voters in midterm elections don't support issues. There's nothing, like you stated on multiple occasions, there's nothing sexy on the ballot. But now we've got medical marijuana. And we're not sure how the young folks are going to do. Polling is all good and great, and we will wait to see how it all pans out. I do think that they may see some sort of slight interest in it, but I don't know how wide that margin is going to be or what it's going to look like.
I personally disagree with medical marijuana, and I think that they don't agree with it either. It's too much money that they will be missing out in the black market, and it's more money in the black market than in the medical marijuana market, and that's why I don't agree, and I don't think that they will vote for it. And even if we did, they control the numbers and all of that. So even if we did get it, they're not going to let us know, just like they did with Bush. So personally, I feel that it won't happen, basically.
They're not going to let you know what? That the bill passed?
Yeah.
Yes,
well, you can look at the election results and see that night that it passed.
Yeah,
and then you can open up a legitimate dispensary business
and sell your medicinal marijuana that way.
The reason why, it'll be too much
of a hassle because we don't want to go through the process of starting a business. Is that what you're saying?
Well, we all lazy, but no. It'll be it just be too much.
We're
money
not going to do that to our people. Black folks are not lazy.
See, I wasn't talking about black people. See,
who are we?
White people smoke weed too.
Who is the we you're referring to?
Huh? I'm talking about me and you. Me and you, because we don't smoke weed, right?
47894-68. It's going to be interesting. That seems to be slipping right now. It's teeter-tottering between which candidate is going to win the governor's race, whether it's Chris, whether it's Scott. The numbers keep coming out real close, real hard to tell. It's going to be interesting in November, man. A lot of interesting things happening.
Nah, I don't think the American marijuana will make it, though, man. It's too much money that they'll miss, and it's all about the money in America.
Well, that's the point, though, because at this point, what you got to remember when it comes to medical marijuana, we have documented states now that are collecting taxes off of medical marijuana. So we're seeing in bits and pieces in multiple states what kind of revenue can be generated from it. So there is now, at least from a government perspective, there is now some proof that there is a viable option here as far as taxes are concerned. And so that is why I disagree that.
But you don't see how much money is made in the black market. You don't see that on paper. You see what taxes make, but you don't see
the difference
black
is
when it's
that
illegal,
money doesn't go to the government and goes back to the state.
You think so? You really think so?
It's a state law, yes.
No, I'm sorry. The black market money goes to the government. The government has their ways. How do you think America got to be America?
Let's backtrack a little bit,
from bootlegging.
Well, let's backtrack a little bit, though, because you made the statement that it's all about the money. As far as I'm concerned, people who sell drugs aren't selling it because it's for the common good. They're selling it because they get money.
Right, but they're not getting it.
Purpose
they're not growing it in their backyard.
At all.
Yes,
they are.
They're not. You
Some
can't
folks
grow.
are.
You can't grow. You have to go to. Why you think they in Iraq? Because that's how you get.
Oh, see, no, we're not going to do that.
Oh, okay.
No.
You don't want to go there.
We don't have any factual information.
Oh my!
You've got that ready to go.
I've seen plenty of documentaries that since we've been over there, 80% of our heroin is coming from over there. Okay,
Thank you.
We leave it alone.
Thank you. How do you think?
I'm gonna leave it alone, though.
Bootlegging liquor.
Here's why we're gonna leave it alone.
How you think Miami got to be to Miami?
Here's what I'll respond to you to this and just say this. While I agree that our government is shady, and while I agree with you that our government has in the past, of course, I do believe they've shared in some profits over the years as it relates to drugs. What I disagree with you on, though, is the idea that states aren't looking at California, aren't looking at Oregon, aren't looking at Colorado, aren't looking at Washington, and seeing the impact that collecting taxes off marijuana is doing, and then saying to themselves, we don't really want that money.
If every state is doing it,
that's not happening.
People travel to California just to go and smoke weed. People travel to Colorado just to go to smoke weed. If every state is doing it, every state ain't gonna be making that money like that.
Yeah, they will, bro.
You think so?
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
They will.
No.
There's a reason why you see the president
smoking weed.
The president speaking on his opinion about how some of the laws related to marijuana should be lessened, or how it shouldn't be treated the same way as other drugs. There's a reason why the Justice Department makes statements about treating victims that have marijuana in their pockets differently from other reasons. It's a setup, brother. It's a setup. It's a setup so that we move, the country as a whole is moving towards another movement and another feeling as it relates to medical or marijuana. It's the same thing that you can say the same thing about gay marriage. It's a setup, brother. When the president speaks and gives his opinion about how he thinks gay marriage is okay, it's a setup. It's a setup when they send cases to the courts, and the courts continuously shoot down the idea that there's something wrong with gay marriage, and so they send it to the Supreme Court, who will more than likely shoot down the idea that there's something illegal about gay marriage. There's a reason these things happen, is because the narrative is shifting. Now, we may agree whether or not that's good, that's bad, that's ugly, whatever you want to call it, but there's a reason why they make these statements, because it's a shifting in what's really happening.
The group that gave the president a lot of money, wasn't it the gay group? Oh, I'm sorry. What's the political name?
The LGBT
there you
community.
Go, the LGBTT, whatever.
Oh, Lord.
Whatever that group is. Aren't they the ones who gave a large lump sum of the money that got the president in office? And that is why we were speaking on that in the car. You pay them people and they will say your issues.
No. So that's an incorrect statement.
Okay.
The president came out and said that he is in support of gay marriage. That happened before a rise in contributions were made to the president. They were not made until that statement was made.
On
so
paper.
you cannot say
paper.
that was a deal that was struck between the LGBT community and the president.
Lobbyists don't work that way. Lobbyists don't put things on paper and then, you know, what they do, they give you the money and say, this is how it's going to happen later on. This is how it's going to be. We're going to keep on supporting you because now they're one of the largest groups that run America right now.
I wouldn't say that they're one of the largest groups that run America. Voters run America and make decisions on how we move this country forward.
Come on now.
And I would also say that, going back to Jay Real's statement, that it's not a setup. It is a growing increase in or a shift in the paradigm. The interest is heightening.
Right.
It's getting larger. So therefore, our president and our and his cabinet need to shift their attention to the issues that are priority for citizens of this country.
The ones that's paying
it's
the money.
Not a setup, though.
The ones that's paying the money. Now, I'll agree with you. If we got together and put together at least, $2 billion to $2 million, then maybe medical marijuana would get passed, just like, the LGBT, the whatnot.
I don't see individuals in the recreational marijuana community giving the president millions upon billions of dollars,
but didn't the
make it legal in our state?
But didn't that LGB whatever group?
That was a choice they made after the president decided to come out in support of gay marriage. Again, there are no facts on that.
No facts.
At the end of the day,
what's your opinion, though? In your opinion,
here's what you got to remember, Mr. King. At the end of the day, there are benefits to it. I think ultimately, even if it doesn't happen in this particular Amendment 2, I think in 5 years, I think most of the country is actually going to be shifting that way, just because, like I said, there's a shift in the country as how they feel about marijuana. And so even if it doesn't happen this year, 5 years from now, I think you're going to see a big shift in just how we view it and how many states actually have it, not only medical marijuana legalized, but marijuana in and of itself, like they did out in Washington and Colorado. It's coming. There's a big movement towards it. And I think, like I said, states are moving towards it because there is a source of revenue that is not being currently tapped that they can tap. And there's going to be a lot of new entrepreneurs that spring up in these states.
There's going to be a lot of old entrepreneurs out of business, too.
That's where the issue will come in.
As long as you go out and get your proper licensing, you don't have to go out of business.
Correct.
You just have to shift how you do your business.
My thing is,
and that's a smart business.
It's so many states that pull over
sit around
people
and be dumb about it if you want.
That have pounds of marijuana on them.
It's not about even. Let's be honest with you. You're saying people who in the business in the black market can shift over. We know
that's not going to happen.
A lot of them can't. They don't have the resources.
They have
felonies. A lot of them don't have the resources.
Oh, they have more resources than the common man. They're out there making money. This is what I'm saying. But illegitimately.
But let's say there's one.
They
they're not going to be able to. I don't think, honestly. Let's just you want to say conspiracy or whatever. They're not going to be allowed to. Because I believe, just like any other industry, it's going to be consolidated into a select few. And once Joe Blow from the block come up and say, "Hey, I'm going to open this business," oh really? We're going to crawl through your R. Now we're going to dip into your R. We're going to get through everything to make sure you don't open up. So they can come over this way.
Well, they're going to make sure you're legal.
I'm not talking about the business. He can set up with a good intent of being legal, but they're going to make sure they're going to do everything they can to make sure that he don't open up in business.
I will say there is a possibility that this business can be monopolized by certain sects or certain groups of people that are already supporting this bill. That's what I think can possibly happen.
Right. But that's why it's smart business moves to connect with the right people.
Correct.
You connect with the right people, and you can get your piece of the pie too. Because, like I said, I know there's a gentleman that I'm aware of that lives here, But because he was able to connect with people in California, he was able to get a business and get a license and get properly licensed and fill out all the correct paperwork so that he can get everything he needed to do to open up a business, a medical marijuana business in California. So once assuming that Amendment 2 passes here, some of the same processes are going to be set in place so that if you know how to, connect with the right people, get the right paperwork filled out, fill it out correctly. Because it's, one thing to have the paperwork, it's another thing to fill it out correctly. Fill it out correctly. The opportunity exists for you as long as
the opportunity exists for a lot of stuff that we ain't.
So let me ask you. At one point in time,
it's called education, brother.
It's called education.
Liquor was illegal
racism.
at one point in time.
It's called oppression.
Thank you.
That's what it's called.
This is not going to help us out. Liquor
you have
was illegal.
access to a business license as long as you have access to internet and a computer. You can sign up and get a business license.
Now, don't get me. I'm not saying there are not things we can. I'm saying. I honestly believe this business is going to get to a point where they're going to make sure people who was doing it illegally are not being able to do it legally. At least a certain sect of them.
And they'll find a way.
And they're going to make it. They're going to start passing all kind of laws. Now it's no restrictions. Then it's going to come restriction. Oh, you can't have a felony conviction. Then it's going to be, well, you can't have a misdemeanor conviction for illegal drugs. Then it's going to come, oh, well,
you can't have no melanin.
Right, exactly. Then it's going to come. Your license can't be suspended within the last 5 years.
Get a license, brother.
Then it's going to be
illegal, and they're selling it all over the place. So those laws,
because there's no restrictions. There's nothing stopping them physically from going to get something and selling it.
We'll see, man.
That's all I'm saying. And see, what I don't like when Jay Real sit up here and act like he don't know what I'm talking about. Because we have conversations like this all the time. Let's be honest. We all have the opportunity to do a lot of stuff. Don't get me wrong. Legally, we can. But we all know it's a lot of stuff we're not going to be able to do because certain people don't want to relinquish control.
Again, it goes back to being properly connected, being properly educated on what you need to do.
So now we got to pay off all these right
basically
people. We got to pay off the
if there's a fee to get your license, a fee to set up your dispensary, a fee to submit your application, you better pay those fees.
I'm not talking about fees. You know what I'm talking about. Miss Politics. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
We'll see, man.
Hey, we just got a message on our page. He put it on there with his name, so I'll just go say it. Bruce Antone said that the LGBT made it known to the president they weren't going to unleash campaign contributions until he supported them.
Thank you, Bruce. I knew you was listening because you always do.
Oh, my goodness.
You always listen, Bruce, and I support you, brother. Because I think Bruce also said that he was supporting medical marijuana. Oh, I don't want to say that out loud.
Real quick. Here, I got a question.
Won't comment on that.
I got a question from my political consultant here. What do you think about Ben Carson and his potential bid to run for president? What do you think about that?
I think that everyone has the opportunity to do what they wish as an American citizen, and if he wishes to run for president, he has that opportunity to do so. Does not mean that he is a viable candidate, and that is the case. And that is the case for anyone who runs for office.
That's what I'm looking for.
She went to school to talk like that. So.
I was like, "Oh, that sounds good." It's just like you wrapped that whole thing about the woman quitting live on air like that. Like you just made it sound so good. Just like, yes, it was just the most professional thing ever done.
I didn't say it was professional.
Oh, okay. Right, you didn't. You did not say that.
No, she acknowledged the
process
planning,
thereafter.
The process of planning.
Okay. And the planning, correct. That was very strategic.
But the way she did it was genius, not professional.
What do you think, Jamba? Ben Carson running for president as a Republican, black Republican?
I'm going to have to agree, and if I could retweet it, I would. Everything Rooney just said. And I'm going to follow that with a no comment.
Oh, man. Here's,
only 5 Florida nurseries will be allowed to grow medical marijuana.
Can't even say marijuana.
Then folks may be able to buy it from the growers and sell it as a distributor.
Only 5.
So
none of them.
They're keeping the supply. This is coming from Bruce Antone.
The
growers and sales as distributor. The growing and sales of this particular strain will be highly regulated in Florida.
Highly.
But that's the Charlotte's Web strain, if I'm not mistaken.
That is what he's referring to.
So let's see what happens if Amendment 2
it opens up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let's see what happens if Amendment 2 passes. Because that's where I believe you're going to see the entrepreneur opportunities are if Amendment 2 passes, not the Charlotte's Web. Charlotte's Web is going to be, strongly contained. But once you open up all forms of medicinal marijuana, now you have an opportunity for a lot of different other businesses to occur. And at the end of the day, it's going to be people who have the knowledge and know-how to get a proper, whatever the proper way, forms and all that stuff that you need to fill out in order to get a dispensary. Those are the people who will win.
Yeah, it will not. Yeah. And just like when they legalize alcohol, what do? They still have people on the side making moonshine. You still had these underground. Oh, you still have all these things going on.
Now you have none of that. It's just them.
So it's
just
going to take
a
time. It's just going to take time.
No, it ain't just them. It's still shining. You just got to know where to get it.
Yeah, hooch.
You guys got to know where to get it.
Some orange peels.
If you can't make money in alcohol. So we're going to wrap it up here. We want to thank y'all for listening. We will be back next week, 9 p.m. WOKB 1680, your urban empowerment inspiration station. I'm shot now, Ben Carson. I don't think he's going to make it, but I hope he does.
Turn the music up.
He'll be a great vice president if nothing else, man. We'll see y'all next week. Follow us on Facebook, Real Family Talk. You can follow us on Twitter, Real Family Talk. The website, realfamilytalk.weebly.com.
WOKB, Winter Garden, Orlando.
It's Gospel 1680 WOKB. I'm the one, the only, Brother Chris Shaw, blessing you on this beautiful, beautiful, marvelous day that the Lord has made. We getting it in right here. I want you to enjoy yourself. Don't touch that dial. Keep it locked on the greatest gospel station in the land. We are WOKB.